What is the worst thing you have done because you got confused between items in different hands? I have put the house phone in the fridge and left the milk out more times than is healthy. The fridge is now the default first place I look if the phone is not on its cradle. I dipped my chips in the water, had a little, such a dumbest moment in my head, then proceeded to drink the salsa. Threw a glass of water on my bed instead of a book. Phone in one hand, open Pepsi bottle in the other, threw the wrong one on my bed. When I was 10, I was watching TV and had the remote in one hand and a cup of hot tea in the other. My dad came in and asked for the remote. Instead of tossing him the remote, I threw my cup of tea and it went all over him. The next morning his chest and legs were red. This was my brother, but I was on the receiving end. We were at a country club for a wedding one evening and there were various backgammon games set up. This happened so long ago I don't even remember how to play backgammon anymore. But it was my brother's turn and he was excited. So excited he slammed his glass of bourbon down on the game board and thrust the dice cup full of dice into his mouth. Totally worth being covered in watered-down liquor to witness such buffoonery. I was writing while drinking Coke. I ended up stabbing myself in the face with a pencil. Stuck a dog treat in my mouth and gave my dog my popsicle. She was thrilled. Friend of mine once put the remote control in the oven and then wondered why he found himself in the living room holding a sausage. Remote control was destroyed, and it had previously spent several days in the back of a freezer because of a similar incident. My husband cleans the cat litter box and puts the gleanings in a tied-off plastic grocery bag. He also puts his lunch in a tied-off plastic grocery bag. When he goes to work he takes both bags outside. One to come with him and one for the trash can. Mistakes have happened. A couple minutes ago I unwrapped a stick of gum, stuck the wrapper in my mouth, and threw the gum in the trash. It's becoming clear to me from this thread that humans holding a cup in one hand and literally anything in the other hand is a recipe for disaster. I had a cup of coffee and a little single-serve container of coffee cream. I opened the cream container, poured its contents into the trash, and then dropped the empty container into my coffee. Threw away $5. Tried to pay at cash register with candy wrappers. Edit. To all of you asking, my favorite candy wrapper has to be M&M. I cracked an egg, poured out the egg into the trash and put the shell into a bowl. Drank paint water and whilst washing my brush in my cup of tea. 2 simultaneous fuck-ups. I went to go and put a scoop of cat food in the washing machine drawer once. Greater than eating sandwich at beach. Greater than skipping stones. Greater than watching the sunset and thinking about life. Greater than throw sandwich into ocean. Greater than bite rock. People saw. I grabbed my banana instead of the conductor's baton on the music stand as I began conducting the orchestra and chorus during a rehearsal. The musicians followed the banana very well minus as if it were intentional on my part. Some thought the curve aided in making the performance more expressive. Was drinking a hot cup of coffee on the back porch while throwing a ball for my dog. To be fair it was like 4 am and the pup wasn't hurt. But my favorite mug got rearranged and the tree got some dirty bean water. I was studying my notes which were in a notebook while also following lecture slides on my iPad. I tried zooming in my notes. Happened many more times throughout the sem. I had a lens cleaner spray in one hand and a mouth freshener spray in the other. Guess what I did? Tried to put an M&M in my ear and my Galaxy Bud in my mouth. Dipped my tortilla chip in water. Put a wad of tissues in the laundry basket and threw my socks into the toilet. I once picked up my toothbrush and then instead of picking up toothpaste I picked up a tube of cortisone. Luckily caught myself. I also once picked up a razor instead of a toothbrush and just stared at it. Another time I poured water on the floor instead of in the sink. Just imagine someone standing facing away from the sink. angling their glass of water downwards and just staring at the stream of water hitting the floor. Mom has done the same, but poured the glass of water into a dog cage my cat was chilling in. Cat didn't move but stared at her like what the fuck. Etta, thanks so much for my first gold. Makes me so happy to see people thoroughly enjoy me and my mother's weird fits. Minus. When I'm snapping the ends off the green beans, sometimes I throw the bean in the trash and the end in the bowl. Not too funny, but at least it's true. Only in one hand, but poured a drink onto myself that I was sipping through a straw. Licked the lid of my yacht, then threw the full yacht pot in the bin with the spoon inside. Rolled the blueberry and ate the dice. Legos bitten instead of snack. Threw my keys into the recycle bin and attempted to start my truck with a crushed Monster can. Put my box of cereal in the fridge and my gallon of milk on top of it. Stayed that way unnoticed for almost 24 hours. Disposing leftover bones into the trash and placing the plates into the sink. I grabbed the bones with my hand and tossed the plates into the trash bin and started washing the bones before realizing what I've done. I had a cup of coffee and a scented candle. I drank the candle. Funny enough, I threw my phone in the trash just this morning and realized only after dumping the trash into my clothes bin. Computer keyboard under one hand, S4 controller in other. Wondering why what I'm typing in computer won't show in S4. This isn't our mixed up hands story, but it's in the same vein. So one day after delivering an order whilst on my former pizza delivery job, I was walking back to my car. As I walked, I took my car key between my fingers, and my brain told my hand, okay hand, the next thing you're going to do is insert that key into the ignition to start the car. And my hand was like, okay, word, I got this. Then as I sat down in the car, my brain said to me, Panhead09, you should probably take your phone out of your pocket and charge it before starting the car. The battery is getting low. And I said, that's a good idea, brain. You should pass that along to my hand. And my brain said, I think I'll do just that. So my brain relayed this message, which had to pass through my arm. And as the message was about at my elbow, my arm said, charging the phone. Got it. I'll get this process going. And so my arm started moving to get my phone out of my pocket. But here's the thing. My arm started moving before the new message made it to my hand. So while my arm was all excited, going oh yay that phone is gonna get so charged, my hand was still in its own little world, thinking, insert the key and turn on the engine. Insert the key and turn on the engine. Anyway, that's how I ended up stabbing myself in the leg with my car key. I used my bare hand to pick up my dog's poop. I know my neighbor saw me also. I just kind of played it off. Not me but a friend of mine. I was at a party a couple of years ago. Typical early adult stuff, so everyone is drunk by the end of the day. I myself can't drink, so I've got a front row seat to this glorious event. My friends were all in the same age group, so nearly 21-year-olds drinking their fill. You can imagine what happens later. The bathrooms start filling up with a bunch of new drinkers blowing chunks. My cousin and her so happen to be at this party. She's about ready to throw up. Her boyfriend is already taking care of her brother, who had just thrown up. I should mention that the boyfriend is also drunk as fuck. He has a bowl in one hand, half full of the brother's vomit, and nothing in the other hand. My cousin is heaving and all the bathrooms are locked. Trash cans and sink are free, but we were upstairs. No way are these three making it down there. So boyfriend looks at his hand in a drunken daze, then to the hand with the large bowl in it, then to his heaving so-hos ready to throw up. I look at him, and I can practically see his brain trying to tell him what to do. No good. His motor skills are fucked. So in attempt to help my cousin, he hurriedly moves his empty hand to below her mouth, and catches all of her vomit in his empty palm. I watch in horror as it spills onto the white rug of our friend's house. The boyfriend, as vomit flows through his empty hand, stares at his other hand with the bowl in it, and mouths a silent fuck, as he realizes slowly that his body did not perform the way he wanted it to. It's a story we still tell to this day. Sat down by the ocean to smoke a joint with my buddy. He is about to spark up, so I hand him a lighter. Turns out it was dead, so I hand him a second lighter. He then proceeds to throw the good lighter into the ocean like a tit. I just sat there being like, I don't know what I am more mad about here. Not being able to smoke or you being an ass by throwing plastic in the ocean. He was just staring out there not saying a word knowing he fucked up twice. It was a pretty classic moment in retrospect. I almost cleaned my ass with my cell phone. I had a container of curd in my left hand and a packet on my right hand. Someone asked me what time it was, and when I proceeded to see my watch which I was wearing on the left hand, I ended up spilling the curd all over myself as the lid was not tightened enough. Tea bag in the sink, teaspoon in the bin. It happens on an astonishingly regular basis. My friend at work was so exhausted one morning, he tried locking the employee fridge with his car keys. I know that's not exactly the questions, but I thought it was somewhat relevant. Lol. I had my tarantula on my hand and a couple Doritos in the other. I almost ate my tarantula. Finished chopping some vegetables when my dumb mind made me cut 4 of my fingers at the same time. My teacher in the 6th grade asked me to throw him an eraser. I threw a pair of scissors at him. He had to duck and they narrowly missed his eye. I mean, I guess I could call that payback for the time he pretended to cut my hair off and actually got some. Subscribe, like and comment if you hate outros. Begging you to subscribe, like and comment.